I like to know what's going on in the news, and while I was catching up on stuff this morning, I came across our MP's name, and it reminded me of the time last spring ahead of the general election when I was walking back home with my wife, dog, and there were two ladies, one lady in particular that got leaflets, and she came to me and gave me a leaflet, and she introduced herself. She was the parliamentary candidate for that particular party, and as they always do, can we rely on your vote sort of thing in terms of making a conversation. And I said to her, very nice, it was all very, very polite, but I said to her essentially, I've never voted for that party in my life, and I never will. Very nicely though, I've just put it rather blunt there, but very nicely. And immediately she asked me, why? And immediately I replied to her and told her why, obviously in a nutshell, a few sentences, but I told her why. And having seen the name in the paper and remembering that story this morning, I also thought of a scripture that came to mind, which I thought would be great for Wednesday Words of Wisdom. And it's 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. And that word prepared is sometimes used, the word ready is sometimes used. Always be ready to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. So when it comes to my faith, just as much as my political persuasion, that lady asked me, why aren't you voting for this particular party for me? I was immediately able to tell her without stuttering, without stumbling, without having to think about it and getting myself into a knot. I was able to tell her straight away why I wasn't voting for her. And likewise, when it comes to my faith, if someone said to me, well, why are you a Christian? Or why should I become a Christian? Or something along those lines, I would be, well, what I would say to them is, have you got 5 minutes or 5 hours? I can tailor it to suit, because I have the conviction to know why I believe what I do believe. And that's important, isn't it? Because if someone said to you, well, why do you vote for that party? And you said, well, my mum and dad always voted for the party, my grandparents always did, and so it's just natural that I also do the same. Why do you go to church? Well, my mum took me to church when I was younger, and I've always gone, and it's something we've always done as a family. They're not really convincing arguments, are they? They're not really arguments that come from the heart. They're just superficial, shallow, external reasons as to why we believe this, or we do that, or we follow that particular path in life. I think it's important for whatever we do to know why we do it. Why do you believe what you believe? Because, and then you're able to give an answer. Always be ready. Always be prepared to give a reason why you believe what you do. And for me, as I've said, as far as faith is concerned, 5 minutes or 5 hours, let's go for it. And so whatever people think of faith, and whatever people think of you as an individual, the bottom line is I can give an answer. It might not be convincing to that person. They might not even be interested in it. 5 hours, 5 minutes, what about 5 seconds? It doesn't matter. If I was asked, then I can give that convincing answer. It's important, isn't it? 1 Peter 3:15. Always, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have.